5:30. I'd like to call the meeting to order. If you would stand for a moment of silence, followed by the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, welcome everyone. Welcome everyone who is watching from home tonight. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee DeVore?
Present.
Trustee Gatt?
Present.
Trustee Kazam?
Present.
Trustee Reichert?
Present.
Trustee Wigginton?
Present.
Trustee Weisenberg?
All right, we do have a quorum, and again, welcome everyone. The next item of business is approval of the minutes from the Board of Trustees meeting June 4th, 2024. I'd ask for a motion to approve the minutes.
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Any corrections or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion to approve signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes have it. We'd be at comments from the audience. If anyone is here tonight to address the board, please come forward to the podium, give your name and address, and try and keep your remarks under 5 minutes. Comments from the audience? Yes, welcome, please.
I'm talking about the playground today.
Oh, that'd be later.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, that's an agenda item, so we'll call you up at that point.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Anyone else? Going once, twice? Comments from the audience are closed. Tonight, we are honored to recognize 3 people who are retiring after long years of service to the school district, and we are so grateful for your service. So I would like to ask Trustee Reichert, Trustee DeVore, and Trustee Gatt to collectively present the proclamations, and any family that are with you tonight, feel free to roam around wherever you like and take as many photos as you would like. So please come forward.
Proclamation in honor of retiring teachers. Whereas Dave Carroll, Patricia Hasenstein, and Jennifer Hersey are retiring from Peoria Heights School District 325 after combined 93 years of service to the young people of this community. And whereas Dave Carroll was a junior high English teacher, mine, might I add, and Trustee DeVore's, coach, grade school assistant principal, known for building positive relationships with students and families alike, with a special knack for making everyone feel welcome and letting them be heard. And whereas Patty Hasenstein spent 3 decades in charge of kindergarten classroom, endlessly adaptable to changes in the technology and generations while never straying from the core principle of teaching 5-year-olds to really love school. And whereas Jen Hersey taught 3rd and 5th grade before becoming a reading interventionist who personally delighted in the triumphs of her students as they grasp with enormous help the skills necessary to become lifelong learners. And whereas all 3 educators brought unique talent to their profession but shared the qualities of caring deeply about kids, taking a hands-on approach to their craft, being uncommonly selfish team players, and always going the extra mile on behalf of the future of Peoria Heights. I needed Miss Hersey's help in school, just FYI. Whereas all have earned more time to themselves to spend with their hobbies and kids and grandkids to be. We, the Village Board, and the Mayor of Peoria Heights hereby congratulate Jen Hersey, Patty Hasenstein, and Dave Carroll on a job well done over the time-tested span of a career, and for doing more than most to ensure the ongoing success of this village through the succeeding generations that so benefited them from their instruction and compassion. Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you for your service. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Dave.
I would just like to point out that not only have I had the privilege of having Dave as a teacher, I did not have Ms. Hersey or Ms. Hasenstein as teachers, but I did have them as coworkers for 17 years, and I will miss all three of you. So.
I was too old for any of them, but they took care of all my kids and grandchildren, so.
Do you want to say something?
I guess the biggest honor is coming here tonight and seeing three of my former students, Brandon as well, here representing the village. And it's much the same job that I have. I made the decisions based on what's best for the kids. Not always the most favorite decision, but I did so with the best interest of them in mind, much like you guys do. The only difference is I get paid for mine. You guys do it for the best interest of the village, and I appreciate that. So this means a lot. Thank you.
I just want to say thank you for this. 30 years in the Heights, it's been a great job. Never thought that the grass would be greener anywhere else. So this is where I wanted to be, and thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you also. And as I told the school board when they recognized us, working for the Heights is like working for your family. And my husband's family was part of the Heights since the 1950s. And so it was always an honor to teach in the school district. Thank you.
Thank you. Also, I would call for a... Yes.
I think I have a roll of duct tape that Sarah's mother gave me when she was in my class, because she talked too much. If you need that, I think I still have it.
Well, we appreciate that very much.
Right on top of it.
And again, thank you all. We wish you the very best in your retirement. Okay, we have a bit old business. Any old business to come before the board? Hearing none, we'll get right into new business. The first item is Resolution 2024-10, a resolution approving a proposal from Woodard & Curran for evaluation of potential sale of a water system and water system valuation. Trustee Reichert, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
All right, I make a motion to approve the proposal from Woodard & Curran for evaluations of potential sale of water system and system valuations.
Is there a second?
Second.
There is. Go ahead, please.
So Woodard & Curran has prepared for us a proposal of what it would cost and what it would take to kind of figure out if we would like to sell our water to American Water. And I am not in favor of this motion.
Okay. Thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah.
We'll go to Wayne and we'll take comments from
go
the
ahead,
board.
So, yes, thanks. So I know we talked about this came before the board without the appraisal costs. So this is just including the appraisal cost from Raftellus, who's a preeminent municipal public works type financing company. So, and I think we also talked about this at your Saturday work session. So didn't really receive, direct direction on this. So again, I think we followed through and just brought this proposal to you for your decision. Again, if you accept this proposal, it doesn't mean you're selling the water system, but it's heading down that road, and it may, postpone some of our decisions based on the capital plan that's been put forward as well. So I would say from a staff perspective, if you deny this proposal, we would probably move ahead with the capital plan as envisioned.
Well, I want to apologize to Wayne because I was probably the one that said I wanted to know how much, before we even entertained selling it, how much are they willing to buy it for? But obviously the big news, the big deal, and I appreciate Clerk Turner not quoting me directly in the minutes when I talked about how big of a deal it was, of getting the grant for close to $14 million to upgrade our water system has changed this 100%. So I agree with Trustee Reichert that as much work as I put onto you, Wayne, I cannot accept what you've done because, again, this has changed so dramatically for us to be able to afford to make the improvements to our own water system without bankrupting the village. So I appreciate your efforts on securing funding for,
So we kind of made up for it.
yeah.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? Okay, if you're ready for the question, Madam Clerk?
Trustee DeVore? I'm sorry, this was on to approve,
Correct.
This is to approve. So nay. Trustee Gadd?
Nay.
Trustee Kazam?
Nay.
Trustee Reichert?
Nay.
Trustee Wigginton?
Nay.
Okay, that motion fails. Next, we bid approval of a purchase of turnout gear from Dingus Fire Company in the amount of $3,700. Trustee Wigginton, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
I move to approve turnout equipment from Dingus Fire for $3,700.
Second.
There's a second, go right ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I did have a discussion with Chief Decker on this line item. This is a budgeted line item, I should make you aware. Essentially, kind of how we got caught flat-footed last year when none of the turnout equipment was in the budget we needed to catch up on. This gets ahead of that. So we are planning ahead for our volunteers to have turnout equipment for them to wear. Some of the things that Chief Deckard said is that the color has changed. So the color has gone from gold to black, which is actually a good thing because they get less dirty now. So that's a positive. But yeah, 2024's color is black, not gold. And the other issue is that the department is going to consciously try, before just buying, if someone shows up to volunteer, they're going to wait and see how that volunteer does with the department before ordering turnout gear, because this is expensive. So they want to see if it's a good fit for that person, if it's a good fit for the department before moving forward. There's been a little turnover, so we don't want to make sure that before purchasing this type of gear, that it's a good fit. So again, budgeted item, just needs to come before the board. So I'm happy to answer any questions that I can.
All right, thank you. Any discussion?
That was very clear. Thank you.
All right, if you're ready for the question, Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gadd?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Next is approval of a replacement of a fire department HVAC unit in the amount of $12,226.15. Trustee Gadd, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve.
Second, please.
Second.
Go ahead, Trustee Gadd.
Okay, I've talked to Chief Sutton, and this air conditioner is old. We're lucky it lasted as long as it did. If you got any other questions, because the chief was really involved in getting this, it affects what used to be his office when the police department was up here in one other room. But if that's not working, then the rest of the place has to work harder. So, Chief, you got anything you want to add to it?
No, I don't. It's the oldest unit that we have. There's about a three-week lead time after we approve it tonight. So it does control just a couple of rooms in the fire department upstairs room. So, yeah. But
Does this address the concern that Chief Decker brought to us about the fumes or exhaust getting into
this
the
has nothing to do with the exhaust.
Okay.
Yes, we're
Okay.
still working through that.
Okay.
So,
And this is an unusual item. It's not budgeted, correct?
correct. This will have to come out of building maintenance. So.
So just so I know, this is not a budgeted item. This comes out of
Building maintenance,
reserves.
correct.
Something that came up unexpectedly.
Yeah, our building maintenance line items, obviously, we don't know what's going to happen throughout the year. So we don't know it's not earmarked for anything. We weren't expecting this. We'll have to make up for it later.
Anyone else? Madam Clerk?
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert? Aye. Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Next is a request for signage for allergy awareness in Tower Park. Trustee Weisenberg's absent. Could I ask Trustee DeVore, would you mind taking this, please?
Okay, sure. So I know that we have talked to this organization before, Red Sneakers. They have provided us with a proposal to put signs up in Tower Park to give notification about food allergies, how food allergies do affect kids that play in parks. And in your packet, you'll see they did give a really great proposal, and just talking about how easy it is to put up the signs to really help keep the playgrounds and other children safe by educating other families about children with food allergies.
Is that what you heard?
Lindsay's here, right? So I think she may be able to speak a
Yeah,
little bit more to it.
may I have a motion?
Oh, yes, I motion to approve.
Second? Okay, welcome.
Sorry.
Please come forward and tell us your plan.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lindsay Spangler. I am the co-founder for Red Sneakers Peoria. I'm also a family nurse practitioner and a food allergy mom. Really, one of our local initiatives for the area is to make Peoria allergy-friendly. Peoria Heights, we also just donated the first epinephrine to one of our local restaurants, Clink Bar, in May. Here in the state of Illinois, any entity is allowed to have the life-saving medication if they're properly educated. In Red Sneakers Peoria, I go in and educate. So our goal is to make all of Peoria Heights allergy-friendly, have all of our restaurants equipped with epinephrine, and we train them. But again, what we're here today is to talk about the playgrounds. So obviously playgrounds are fun, but for food allergy families and children, it can be life-threatening. Even just a little touch of a food allergen can cause a child to go into severe anaphylaxis. Food allergy families, the first things we do when we go to the playground is we search for food on the ground, we search for wrappers, we search for other families eating, and is that child going to go onto that playground? Because again, that can cause severe life-threatening reactions. What other states have done, I would say New York, New York, New Jersey, Wisconsin. I haven't seen it in Illinois yet, but they place these signs up. Again, not everybody is going to see them. It's voluntary, but it basically just gives awareness to people around them. The sign specifically would say, 1 in 13 children have severe food allergies. You can help keep our children safe by voluntarily following these simple steps. Please eat in a designated picnic area. Please do not eat on the playground. Don't give food to other children without the consent of the parent. After you eat, wash your hands with soap and water or wet wipes. Hand sanitizer does not get off the food particles. Again, is it going to deter everybody from doing it? But if we're making Peoria Heights our big goal, allergy-friendly, people are going to see it, maybe more aware. If you're not a food allergy parent, you don't realize it until you read something and you're like, oh my gosh, let's eat over here, let's wash your hands real quick. The last thing you want to do is to cause some life-threatening reaction. So that's our proposal. We would love to see it. It's very easy to do. And again, other places have done it. And, our goal, again, at Red Sneakers Peoria is to make this little area safe. And we're providing the epinephrine. We're donating it for free. We want our first responders to have it. We want, all the restaurants educated. And I go out through all the schools as well and educate everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing this to our attention. And I have a severe food allergy myself, so I understand the problem. You would provide the signs to the village, is that? And
Correct.
The wording?
Yeah, we would donate it and we would, make the design for it.
Again, I'm in favor of this, but council, do we take on any liability for enforcement if we erect the sign?
I don't believe so, no. These are public service signs, so there's no liability to the village.
Okay.
For putting these up.
Anyone else?
I think this fits. The park was originally planned as an accessible park with the Advocates for Access right here in Peoria Heights. Gilmore Foundation helped out with this as well. I think this fits with the message and what we wanted to do with this park. I think it's a perfect fit.
Thank you. And food allergies also is a under the Disabilities Act. It's a hidden disability too. So inclusion for all kids, what your playground has already done.
Okay, anyone else? Madam Clerk?
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert? Aye. Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That passes. Next is approval for the use of Tower Park on Saturday, October 5th, 2024 for cystic fibrosis Great Strides Walk. Trustee DeVore, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve the use of Tower Park on Saturday, October 5th of 2024 for the Cystic Fibrosis Great Strides Walk.
Second.
Thank you. Go right ahead.
So this organization has used Tower Park before. They are requesting the use of it from around 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. to do a before and after celebration for their walk. They have used the park, I believe, 19 years. And they're looking to have about 200 to 250 attendees, and their walk is going to be 3 miles down Grandview.
Anyone here tonight from cystic fibrosis? Okay, any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert? Aye. Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Next is ordinance 2024-1731, an ordinance approving an amendment to the cell tower lease agreement. Trustee DeVore, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve ordinance 2024-1731.
Second.
Thank you. Go right ahead, Trustee DeVore.
Well, part of this is housekeeping. So we have had an agreement with the cell tower since 2001, and we are coming up on their renewal period. They are looking to re-sign our lease with us. The changes would be that they would have 2 additional 10-year term renewal options, and they're looking to add 1,000 square feet to the lease agreement. That's the scope of what I know thus far. I know council has worked with them a little more diligently, so I feel like if we have any questions, I'd like to direct them to Mark.
The only other thing you missed, the key point, which is they're going to pay $15,000 to buy those 2 additional options to extend the lease out, which I think is a good deal for the village.
Questions?
We also have another revenue opportunity. They're going to co-locate, I think American Tower started off just as Verizon, if I'm not mistaken, and now they're open to other carriers. So if they co-locate other carriers, then we're going to get additional monthly revenue as part of the lease payments. Now, that remains to be seen, but the upfront payment would happen as soon as we deliver a signed copy of the approved lease. And it fits nicely with the fire department gear that, or the HVAC.
Yes.
I was like, that's for the HVAC.
Earlier tonight, so I couldn't help but notice the similarity in those numbers.
Thank you. Questions?
Mark, the extensions on the lease agreement, can you talk to me about that and how would we be paid additionally at that point?
There's 10-year terms, and I think we might be in the 3rd period. We started back in 2001. It's originally, if they maxed out all of their extensions, it would expire in 2051. This will take it 2 more 10-year terms to 2071. It goes up 20% with each 10-year term. It's a pretty hefty, percentage-wise, pretty hefty rent increase with each option.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Madam Clerk?
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert? Aye. Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Next is Resolution 2024-11, a resolution of the Village Board for the Village of Peoria Heights, Illinois, approving an application for the Tri-County Regional Planning Commission grant and committing village funding for ADA ramp reconstruction on Glen Avenue. Trustee Reichert, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
I make a motion to approve Resolution 2024-11.
Second?
Go ahead, Trustee Reichert.
This is a, This is a grant that we've received to work on, from what I'm understanding, Knoxville And Glenn, that is Peoria Heights' portion of it for the ramp leading up to Knoxville. Am I reading that right? That's how I read it. sorry.
Not exactly.
No, okay, I'm gonna let Wayne do it. I'm gonna let Wayne do it. I'm terrible at this.
This is an application for a grant, so these are funds, federal funds handed out to our urban area through regional planning. There's, every couple of years, they issue this RFP, competitive with everyone else in the Peoria area. So this year, there's 3 forms of this grant for roads and, in our case, transportation enhancements. So when we looked at the budget for this project, this is for Glen Avenue, which has been on our list for a while to make improvements to Glen Avenue. I think we've applied for Safe Routes to School funding, which we were unsuccessful for. So this is really to follow up on that. We looked at the budgets of everything, and instead of going for everything, because we were afraid we may not be able to make that match, especially using motor fuel tax funds, which is the primary source of funding for the local match on these projects. So we decided, staff decided to go for really the kind of first part of this project. Again, Glen from Prospect to east of Knoxville, which is the area of Peoria Heights. Handicap ramps, ADA accessible ramps, which would be required if we were using MFT for a resurfacing project or anything else we would do. So this is an application for funding to get those ramps completed. And then if there's other funding sources, could be this funding source in a couple of years or maybe another funding source that would complete the project, which is envisioned to be resurfacing of the street, bike amenities, potentially bike lanes or enhanced crossings and other safety improvements. So again, this form of funding for a project like this is really one of the prime forms of funding we would be competing for again with the rest of the community. But I think this is a good project. It's a minor arterial street, has regional significance, of course, for not just Peoria Heights, but the rest of the Peoria area. So again, these funds, the matching funds of $256,500 would be from motor fuel tax funds as we envision, and the grant would cover $876,300. So big project still, but just
Completely
accessible ramps. That application will go in 2 weeks to regional planning.
Questions? Wayne, is it the technical committee that'll make the decision on the funding for the projects?
Typically, the technical committee does review the project. They'll come up with a selection committee
The commission itself will...
Yes, before it goes to the commission, and then they'll make a recommendation.
So it probably will help to have, since the library and the school are part of this artery, that helps.
Yeah, in a way, this is a super great project in that regard. You got library, the school system. Trails, the parks, accessible park. So that's the argument, well, some of the prime arguments that we'll make, yes.
Thank you. I appreciate your work on this, and also I'm sure Stephanie as well is finding something like this that we could apply for in a safe financial way, and it really will make a difference. So hopefully we're awarded this.
And that's 100% funding?
It's a match. Some of the components are 20%, some are 50%. So our match would be $256,500 from, we envision MFT funds.
Okay, thank you.
I wanted to add one point before we spend the money, before we, let any contracts on the project, they would be back in front of the board. So there would be final approvals on actually awarding contracts.
Okay.
This is just, this is a requirement of the grant to just show commitment.
Okay, thank you.
And I apologize for misunderstanding what I read.
You did fine.
Completely misunderstood it.
Could I ask, and this is more of a question for Clerk Turner, and I appreciate both of your efforts. So I'm looking at the treasurer's report for May at the MFT funds. Do we know how long, what's the burn rate on that for, Chris has projects when we use MFT. How much when we do seal coating and things like that?
So Director Aldridge and I sat down and I did projections. The construction wouldn't begin until next summer at the absolute earliest. At most, we would have some out-of-pocket expenses next spring for engineering. I've done the projections for the MFT, including updates on new numbers that we have. They're still very conservative. We have more than enough funds to pay out our matching portion next summer, as well as continue our normal MFT programs.
Okay, thank you.
And Wayne, is any of this BDD eligible or TIF eligible?
I think it may be, but typically, this MFT would...
You want to use MFT first?
Yeah, it's more typical, and it's going to be a state kind of overseen project, with MFT funds, so we would apply all those policies to it. But yeah, I'm not sure that, I think BDD could be applied, but I'm not sure we want to.
Only if there was a gap in funding that we...
Yeah, that could be, this project they ask, and it's what we call scalable. Could we do less? Yes, we could. We could do less ramps, fewer ramps, perhaps near the school and connecting to the trails. So if they would award us less money, we would say thanks and do fewer ramps. But that could be an option, is to throw more local funding in.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Madam Clerk. Call the roll, please.
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gett?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert? Aye. Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Anyone like to report on anything before we go to miscellaneous business? Any committee chairs?
And I'm sure Wayne will have something to add to this. Wayne and I had our first meeting with Doug Farr and Associates this afternoon to begin the process of code revisions and zoning. It was a really good meeting, I think. And I'll let Wayne continue talking about that, but with the next steps in the process.
Yeah, next steps. This was a kickoff meeting, more administrative than anything else, but I think, a public type of meeting is envisioned where we discover the community goals and things like that. So that's what I would anticipate first, is a meeting. Sometimes they call them charrettes, they call them different things, where the public gives a chance to give their input as guided by Farr and Associates. So that's something to look forward. I think it'll be an interesting project, and I think these folks will challenge us because they've discovered, they've done work, all around the nation. The zoning folks that rewrite the zoning code worked recently in LA, Atlanta,
Houston.
Houston.
But also have a big, a lot of small communities as well, so not just very large communities.
Yeah, so I think they understand, what's good for a smaller community as well. So I'm excited about it. I'm excited about working with these folks.
And just to remind my fellow trustees, this funding is actually from Senator Kaler's office. It did not come out of our budget.
Thank you. I would strongly recommend you have public input on that.
Oh, certainly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
There
that's
are
all.
lots of plans to have public input and key stakeholders and that type of thing.
Right. And Mr. Mayor, speaking of public input, the active transportation plan is going on right now. Envision a public meeting on June 27th, so that's next week on Thursday.
Yeah.
5:30 to 7 o'clock here at Village Hall. So there also will be a questionnaire. I think we're trying to get that online this Thursday at the 20th. So that will be on the village website, a link to a questionnaire and other ability to make comments on that.
So presentation followed by public comment, is that?
I think so, yeah. Typically, it's sort of an open house kind of concept, but there will be a presentation, as I understand.
They're from Virginia.
And also, Mr. Mayor,
Just a couple days ago.
parking study. This was another grant opportunity from regional planning. called the Special Transportation Study. This did not require a match, so didn't take it before the board. But I did apply for a grant last Friday for a parking study, primarily in the central business district. So requires no match if we get the project.
I love that we have all of these, like, public meetings and such. Is there, and I understand that we're working with several different companies and organizations that are really, this is their niche, but is there any way that we can get some of these dates any sooner? Like, it seems to be that the public meetings, we get them only a week or so in advance, and sometimes that's a really hard turnaround. I mean, I understand I have a different job than other people, but a week's notice is really hard for me to make an evening meeting, and I feel like I would like to be a part of that. And I'm sure there's other people that have activities, or they're gonna have to figure out where their kids are gonna be at. Like, is there any way we can request from these companies that we have a little bit more lead time when they schedule a public meeting?
Yeah, request it. We can
Yeah.
request it.
Yeah, yes,
We'll
we
make an
certainly
effort.
can, yeah.
We'll make an effort to try to do that going forward.
I mean, they get into a routine with scheduling based on their past projects, but we can always adjust that.
Well,
I mean, so
actually,
there's only a 10-day notice for the public to know it, right? And then,
I think we did post that.
We
This
did
was
post.
coming up like maybe a week or two ago on the website.
okay, but do you understand though, like, I didn't see that go on the website, so I didn't get an email about it, and I sit on this board, so what if the general public might not have seen it either, you know? And if we really want full community input, I feel like we have to give them as much notice as we possibly can.
and actually, to that point, one of the discussion items we had today with Doug Farr and his team is they were going to give us the key dates going forward for the following year. So we'll get those to everyone as soon as possible, both the Board of Trustees and the community. And in addition to that, we suggested that if at all possible, these different entities, because there is a lot going on. There's the ATP plan, there's the zoning plan, there's Prospect Road plan, that some of these meetings, if it seems like it will be helpful, happen at the same time, because ideally these would all be very cohesive. Like, you know, what happens on Prospect is very important to zoning, so.
Sure. And I love that, and I mean, I know everybody on this board wants community input, right? Like, we've all said it 100 times, but I think we need to be able to, I mean, does anybody else go on the village calendar and look at it every day to see what's changed? I don't, maybe that's my own fault. But I just think we have to give more notice.
I agree with you, and the time and the date was set without me knowing about it either, so.
Yeah, I mean, it just, I want to be there.
I've missed a couple of meetings I would have liked to have attended because the date and time was set without me knowing about it, and we're paying the bills, so I'll tell you, we're going to start setting the date and time of the meeting.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to report a couple of things. One, as I've mentioned before, Trustee Kazam and I, we've been working on a residential redevelopment program. I want to thank Mayor Phelan, Supervisor Sutton, as well as Wayne and Steve Klein for a really educational meeting. I thought the meeting was, there was a lot of back and forth, and I learned a lot, and so I think we're still very early stages of that, but I thank all of you for your time and sitting in with me on that. One additional thing, and I talked to Chief Sutton about, I want to remind the public it's getting, and it has been very hot. I'm letting my yard pollinate right now a little bit before mowing it, but with the hot and high temperatures, the police department's lobby is open as a cooling center. If anyone does need the opportunity to escape some of the heat, just we're here to help if we can. So thank you, Chief, for opening up the department for that.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay, we've been miscellaneous business. Any miscellaneous?
I have a couple things. Trustee Wadington, both my things are questions for you. I'm sorry, it was not intentional. One, I feel like we previously talked about when Fire Chief Decker cannot be here, is it possible for a different representative to be here in case we would have questions? Like, obviously you do a great job like reporting on them, but with things moving forward, if like we had updates, is it possible for someone to sit in that seat if Chief Decker is unavailable?
Yeah, I had a discussion with Chief Decker about that issue, and I think as his program rollout, as we hire new people to come in as employees of the village, we should have that expectation, and I will insist that that is the case. So I appreciate you bringing that up, Trustee DeVore, and I think we should have, once we do have employees here, they're right there. So
I mean, but we're currently paying Assistant Chief Matt Schott right now, so he couldn't come right now, and then if personnel changes?
I don't know what his hours are. I have, I've, again, talked to Chief Deckard about that. So I think that is certainly a reasonable demand to have, and I'll speak with them. And we're probably starting hiring, I think, relatively soon. I mean, at least testing. But in the meantime,
October looks like the higher date.
yeah, I mean, budget reasons, we know why we did that, but yeah, I think that's a reasonable demand.
Yeah, if you could just check back in and then report to us back, that would be great. I would appreciate that. And then the other thing I had for you is I did receive a couple complaints on Saturday with some of the noise from live music being a little louder. And I know that this board had talked about how we don't want to impede the businesses, but we were trying to find a happy medium on how do we also keep our residents in mind. And I know that you and Trustee Weisenberg were going to do a little deeper dive on that and kind of come up with a few solutions for us. And I didn't know if either of you had a chance to kind of revisit that topic.
I appreciate you bringing that to my attention. I also received those complaints from some of the constituents. I reached out to them individually. I haven't had a chance to speak with Trustee Weisenberg. I know that we had spoken about it prior to the last election. I think he wanted to wait a little bit, but I'm happy to go over it with him again in the near future. So, at this time, I know that Trustee Weisenberg did speak with some of our officers down at the event that was called in, and I think our officers handled it very well. I think it was, from my understanding, we are trying to keep the noise down for our residents, but also, offer opportunities for our business owners. I think some of them are here tonight as well, that we present some of the, present the residents here a opportunity to have some fun, but also respect the noise as well.
I do think it was handled well because I could hear it very well at my house this last time, but I think there's a lot of factors that play into that. It was very windy, and I find on the nights that it's windy, it's louder at my house, right? Or certain bands tend to be louder, and I did notice when the volume was decreased. So I'm not saying that it wasn't handled well. I just want to make sure that we're following through, kind of just revisiting some options that we have because we said that we would.
I think as far as our ordinance is concerned, the ordinance is being followed to the letter of the law. I think what we tried to do is, keep the volume down, and again, walk a tough path. We're a landlocked community. I mean, that's the matter of it. And I'm not telling anything you guys don't know. We got a small community, 5,500 residents, where we have a blend of business, residential, R1, R2, R3. And so it is a tough balance to walk, but it's a fight we got to have. So, Chief, did I miss anything?
Well, just going back to this last weekend, we received one complaint only. No fines were issued. I want to point that out. I also want to point out that we do have some housekeeping to do here because we talked about it in 23 and 21, how the ordinance is written, and the time frame on that ordinance says 10 o'clock. Yeah. Prior administrations gave a verbal for the business to go to 11. We talked about all this. So we need to change this, no matter what. Whatever the board decides, we need to either keep it where it's at, or we need to change it to 11 on our ordinance. So I think that is a very important part of this to me. Every interaction that we've had with all the business owners have been outstanding. We don't get a lot of complaints. Like I said, we only received one complaint on the instance you're talking about, Trustee DeVore, and the officers handled it great. You know, what we do see when we do go back and look at the few complaints that we do get, it depends on the type of band. And I know that we've talked to business owners about this, and they've been great, and it's been corrected. We actually have an officer working some of these venues off duty, so they can monitor it directly. But my issue is going back to the ordinance and changing what the ordinance says. I don't go by verbal. I mean, we talked about why we're doing this, the spirit and the letter of the law, but I think we need to go back and change it either way. So,
well, let me just interrupt real quick, because the chief and I, after last weekend, went through lots of sets of minutes going back several years, and the last set of minutes, 2 trustees were to meet on this and come back with a recommendation for the board, and I'm still waiting on that.
Mr. Mayor, I know that since that point, there may not have been able to reach a consensus on that. So I would ask, and that sounds like Trustee DeVore, I think if we want immediate action on this, I'd ask that at our next meeting, it be placed on the agenda, and we decide as a board to get this thing done once and for all.
What would you like on the agenda?
Yeah.
No, what would you like on the agenda?
I would like to revisit whatever, I don't have the...
Well, really, I'd like you to look at the minutes from the past several years. We've revisited this time and time again, and so if you have something specific, or if, that's what I would ask for, something specific, and then we'll put it on the, and it could be amended, but I mean, we talked about this a lot.
The ordinance states 10 p.m. Friday and Saturday, so we can either change that to the verbal that was given to 11 on Friday and Saturday, or keep it as is, but the officers need to know regarding enforcement, because it puts them in a bad situation. They have to go by what the ordinance says. We have granted the extra hour, and it's, like I said, it's been fine. The complaints are minimal, but we do get complaints. I mean, you know, we'll go weekends without one. We might, we only got one this last weekend, and it was addressed. But I think it needs to be changed. We either keep it as is or change the time at 11 o'clock or 10, whatever it is, whatever the board decides.
Well,
I would like it to be, if you're going to put it on the next meeting, let's change it to 11 o'clock, if that's what you're looking for.
I would agree with
I
that.
would say, let's make it for 11 o'clock. That's what you're asking, right? You want exactly what we want on there.
All right, let me just, thank you,
Friday
Trustee
and
Gett.
Saturdays.
Let me
Is that-
just
I'm
pause
sorry, is
there.
that what you-
I'm not cutting you off. Is there just a consensus that that's the time?
Yes.
That's where we're at right now.
I mean,
For now, it's at least a consensus of
yes,
that?
yes.
All right, Madam Clerk, that's what we'll start with.
Okay.
That can always be amended, or I'm just saying that, that's what we'll put on then. But go ahead, Trustee Gett, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's all I want. Let's, like you said, we were talking about, when Mayor Allen was here, we were talking about this. We had the Music Fest and everything. So let's get it done with. Let's quit waiting for somebody to get back with you. Let's put it on the agenda to discuss it for 11 o'clock.
Yeah, and I would say, I think the ordinance, in my opinion, needs to be changed to 11 o'clock, because that, I believe, is what we're enforcing now verbally. The complaint didn't, as far as I understand, have anything to do with the time. It has to do with the volume.
Correct.
So that's a different issue. These are two separate matters in a way.
Very good point.
And Trustee DeVore, would that resolve some of your concerns as well? I just want to make sure that we're meeting, and I appreciate you bringing this to my attention. I just want to make sure that this resolves some of your concerns as well.
My main concern is that we said we were going to do something, and I just want to follow through with it, right? Like, we need to figure out and have a standpoint on what we're going to do.
So getting this on the agenda resolves your concerns.
That's my main concern. My other concern is I guess maybe I need to do my own research on how other communities who have live music, how they're regulating it and what we're doing. I do think having a complaint and then, going to the establishment and asking for the volume to be turned, that is working effectively, but kind of annoying, I would think, for some residents who have to constantly make a complaint every weekend, right? Or, not that it's every weekend, but should it be every weekend? So I think I need to do a little bit of my own research on how that regulation would be, but my main concern is we told them we were going to do something, and I think we need to follow through with it. One, to protect the businesses, also, but to protect the residents, right? Like, so everybody has a clear, concise understanding of how we're moving forward.
And I appreciate,
That's my concern.
I appreciate Trustee Gett for, I didn't know really what the mayor was asking, but I appreciate you been up here for a while, so you can boil it down for me. Thank you.
And I mean, this is good discussion, and I support the direction the board's going in. And don't get me wrong, noise is a quality of life issue, and that's extremely important. But before we get to that decision, I think we need a lot of input from the chief as well, because this is not the police department that it was when a lot of us grew up here. It's a much busier police department, and I don't think we want to be constantly pulling police off the street on a Saturday night when there's other more pressing things. And again, not that noise and being awakened at night is not important, it's important, but I don't know if you have any thoughts on that, Chief Sutton.
Well, talking to a handful of trustees since the complaint, it's exactly what I said. You know, not that it isn't important, it's very important. It is a quality of life issue, but you look at our call load on the weekends, I really don't want to tie up officers on noise complaints going back and forth to the establishments. I think that we could get through this, and working with the owners of these establishments have been great. Whenever we make a phone call, we stop by. If it's an establishment, we have an officer working, they can monitor it, police it that way. They do a great job, but again, I don't see the volume right now that it's really impacting us. I mean, it tied up an officer or two for a little while on that Saturday night, but I don't see it impacting us that greatly. But I don't want to get to that point. That's why I want to be proactive in what we're doing here. So we'll continue to talk to the businesses that we have had complaints on, and I expect the same, dialogue.
And I would just say that, in my opinion, whether having a liquor license and being permitted to have outdoor music is a privilege, and those owners, I think, need to police that themselves. So, Rob, I see you out there. I don't know, would you want to come forward? And I don't see anyone from Oliver's, so.
Yeah. I don't have too much, but thank you for the opportunity. I take this as serious because...
Just for the record, Rob,
yes.
would you give name and address?
Yes, Rob Matheson, 103 Michael Court, Germantown Hills. This is serious for me. I want to be a good steward of the community. I always have. I've never wanted to do 2 nights of music for a reason. I mean, we do really well during these music shows. We could easily do Friday, Saturday, but it's always been a decision that I've made to not overwhelm. I actually, this is a topic that needs to be addressed because it's gone back and forth, so I understand where you guys are at. I appreciate you guys looking at it again. When I heard about the issue this year, last Saturday, I jumped in the car at 9 o'clock, and I went to multiple neighborhoods that were within 3 blocks of Heritage Square. And I can promise you I heard the music, absolutely, but there was no loud thumping. So I heard the voice, but I did not hear the thumping band. Now, to your point, Trustee DeVore, I've gone further in years past when the wind's blowing, and it did carry better. So, I would also ask everybody, and we're not in this just for money as a community. There needs to be quality of life. But, I want to remind you, when we came to Heritage Square, that was a gravel parking lot. There was no wing built. And that wing produces about $4 million in tax revenue. That shouldn't be our number one focus, but without the entertainment, not just music, but entertainment, Peoria Heights has very little industry at this point. This is our industry. I would ask that you take that into account, which I know you will. So we will be good stewards. I will respect any decision that you make, and I also drove the village, and the vibrancy Saturday night was great. 12 Bar had some music. Oliver's had music, and we had music. Ours is different. Ours is a show, but it's really done a lot for Peoria Heights. And I would bet that if you interview 100 Peoria Heights residents, the vast majority are in support. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. I hope you can come back then at the next meeting if you're able.
Yeah, absolutely. Any questions for me at this point? Okay, thank you.
Robbie. Anyone else on this topic? Any other miscellaneous?
I have a few things I can update on, Mayor.
Yes.
Our spray patching company contacted me today. They were out spraying some spots that they're going to be taking care of, which is basically the Toledo, Marietta, Manita area. They do this the year before the seal coating, so it has a chance to seal. That's taking place. The ice pigging has been moved back a week and a half. We're looking at possibly July 18th start, probably July 22nd. And that'll take place 2 weeks. That's everything south of Lake Street will be taken care of in that round of ice pigging. And I'm sure everyone's worrying about the fountain out here. And believe me, we've been waiting for the correct motor to come in. And hopefully that will be running this week. And that's it.
Any questions for Chris? Any other miscellaneous? I just want to take this time to wish Mayor Ray Pitzel a happy 95th birthday that he celebrated over the weekend, and I've invited him to come to a village board meeting sometime in the future if he's able, so happy 95th birthday, Mayor Pitzel. Okay, we'd be at general comments from the audience. If anyone is here tonight, yes, Mr. Lockhart?
If it means anything to you all, I have agreed with everything tonight. Let that be shown in the record. And I'm sorry, this is purely tongue-in-cheek for the people that are bothered by the noise. Arm our police department's Matavan. Flip them a pill, tell them to go bad. Jesus Christ.
Ray, I'll ask the clerk to print your remarks verbatim then.
Mr. Lockhart expressed support of the PD. Got it.
All right, anyone else? General comments from the audience, going once, twice?
One last question.
Yes.
Where's the tower you're talking about, the cell tower?
Galena Road.
Okay.
Probably don't, most people don't know it's there.
It's on the bluff, right?
Yep.
It's on the bluff.
It's by the apartment complex.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the apartment complex?
Right.
Yes.
Pretty well hidden. All right, we would be at payment of the bills. I would ask for a motion to pay the bills.
I make a motion to pay the bills.
Second?
It's been moved and seconded to pay the bills. Are there any questions on any of the bills or discussion on the motion? Madam Clerk?
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gadd?
Aye.
Trustee Kazam?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
Okay, the bills are paid. Next is the treasurer's report. Madam Clerk?
As of the end of May, in the village-controlled accounts, there was $8,237,796.38. In the water-controlled accounts, there was $2,175,540.56.
You've heard the treasurer's report. I'd ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to adopt the treasurer's report. Any questions on the report?
One
Discussion?
question. And this relates, Mr. Mayor, to some of the discussions we had previously in our meeting. One of the things that came up, and Steve Klein brought it to my attention, was one thing that would be helpful on this treasurer's report is to know how much money is committed on these individual TIFs that are listed here. So we have numbers, but we don't know how much is committed to those. And so if we could see that, that would give us a much clearer idea of really what kind of play we have in these numbers.
I would agree with that.
To see what's encumbered.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree.
That'd be great.
That's easy enough to do. All right, very good point.
Thank you.
All right, any other discussion on the report? Madam Clerk?
Trustee DeVore?
Aye.
Trustee Gadd?
Aye.
Trustee Kazan?
Aye.
Trustee Reichert?
Aye.
Trustee Wigginton?
Aye.
All right, that passes. Trustee Gett,
I make a motion to adjourn.
is there a second?
Second?
All those in favor of the motion to adjourn signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Guys have it.
I'm afraid to touch this.